Everyone wants passive income when it comes to buying real estate. But what most don't realize is that real estate can be treated like an online business when you set up automations and systems that allow you to run that asset, that operation, that business without physically being present. Real estate in and of itself is not entirely passive, but when you implement these automations and these systems, it can help you be a little bit more hands off. Automation matters heavily when it comes to business. Think about it like this. You just bought a self-storage facility or cash flowing asset that you need to treat it as a business. So you're going in, you're collecting rent, you're on the facility, you're blowing out units when it's time to turn over, you're doing any and everything that it takes to run that business. And that's great. If that was your intention, you wanted to buy one business, one real estate, one self-storage and do all of that. But when it comes to scale, it's almost impossible to go and buy another one. Even if you had the funds to do it, you don't have the time to do it because you are locked into that one asset that you have to delve out all your time and make things happen on this one piece. When you implement automation, you now free up your time to think about or to do other things. Take my facility, for example. If I was out blowing all the units out, sweeping them out, or turning over the units, putting new locks on it, anything that it requires for me to be present at that facility, or even on the back end. Maybe I was, onboarding a new tenant and I needed to do all of it myself. It does not allow me to think about having another facility or to think about purchasing another facility. I can't be the the CEO, the acquisition specialist, the CFO, and investor relations all in one. Even though I do have to wear a lot of hats at the start, I can look at automation, especially when it comes to my facility to help me out. So automation is a very key and important thing that you have to have if you're looking to scale. If I really tried to scale while doing all of these other things, my business could not perform at the highest level. And if I'm thinking like I want to be at the highest level, I need to think like what the big dogs do. And they bring in, implement systems and automation into their process. That way, it's fairly easy to run the facility. My goal at the end of the entire process, after I purchased the facility, implemented all of my systems, and am ready to buy the next, my goal is that one facility that I purchase can run itself, almost run itself without me having to be present or even thinking about it so that I can focus on purchasing the next piece. My management stack looks just like this. For starters, I have Tenant Inc. I use their product called Hummingbird, which pairs with the Mariposa. Mariposa is just the website, the front end tenant facing website or future tenant website where people can go in and they can scroll through my website and see which unit I want to rent. It looks like any other website, especially when it comes to an online business selling their products online or a stationary physical building with a business selling their products. Again, it's all online. So you go to the website, you can find exactly what you're looking for, and you can book through the website. That's the Mariposa. The Hummingbird product, which is the main bread and butter, the backbone, Hummingbird takes care of all of the back end management. It shows people, or operators rather, it shows us what the facility looks like. There's a map that you can build out yourself. It can show you what your units are looking like when it comes to being leased out, when it comes to being offline or ready to rent, vacant. It shows you everything you need to know from occupancy to delinquency, whatever you can think of when it comes down to it, it's going to show you that and it's going to break it down for you. There's plenty of reports that you can pull, an executive management summary, or just a management report itself. You can see day in, day out, month to month, or quarterly reports. Any report you need, it's going to be on that Hummingbird platform. Those two talk to each other. And I love the beauty of it because as soon as a tenant rents from us, they're renting on the Mariposa site. And then when everything is finalized, it's going to talk to Hummingbird. And now that tenant's information is pulled into Hummingbird. And now we can see that they're renting from us. But to take it a step further, that only took care of the rental process. I still need to be able to have an automated workflow that allows someone to come in and actually physically be on site renting from us. And I use something called DaVinci Lock. DaVinci Locks are a beautiful automation when it comes to self storage because all I have to do is purchase the lock, of course, and set it up into my system, and it talks to Hummingbird. Whenever that new renter comes in and everything is finalized on the Mariposa site, in Hummingbird, it then sends a code to that new renter and it says, hey, this is your code to unlock this lock. The renter can then unlock the code and then return the lock back up to the front office. And then on the inside of their unit, they will have a lock that we are providing as an admin fee, but we are providing that to tenants. Our tenants enjoy seeing this automation because they don't have to necessarily call in order to get the code to unlock that lock. They just show up on site and are able to get in to their unit, put their new lock on, and replace or return our lock for us. But before they can even get into the facility, they also need to get into the gate at the front entrance. And we use a keypad entry made by Spider Door. Spider Door is also great and it talks to Hummingbird. They all have built-in integrations so that as soon as that tenant starts to pay and they're paying tenant to us, it connects to Hummingbird and the two can talk to each other. They get a gate code sent out to them and everything again is taken care of so that a tenant can get through the entire rental process without ever having to talk to myself or my property manager. And I'll get into that in a second as well. But at the end of the day, that process works for itself. A tenant can get in as a new renter or as a current tenant. They can get into the facility once they paid up. If they don't pay up, if they're delinquent or they just have not paid for the full bill, they may still have a gate code, but it won't work. And they're going to either get a time zone success or a failure based off of being paid and current on their Hummingbird balance. And we love that these three talk to each other. So a tenant will be able to either get in or not get into the facility itself. If they have paid, of course, or a new renter is coming in, they're going to have their code to get in. And for the new renters, they can take off the DaVinci lock and return it back to us. The same process also works for a delinquent tenant. If they decided to finally pay us, then their gate code starts to work again. They can now get into the gate and then they can enter the facility, take off the red lock that we give on their unit, and it continues to automate it. Do the exact same thing as the green locks, return it back to the facility. And it helps us stay hands off. But I think what the icing on the cake really is my property manager. A few months ago, we hired a VA to come and work for our company. And VAs are the best thing that I've ever been able to do for my company. My property manager, she manages the entire operation and she does a lot of the day-to-day tasks. That way I don't have to involve myself in that. I've not only empowered her to do something that she can do, she does not need my oversight to make it happen, but it's also helped me free up my time to focus on other things, to focus on the next acquisition, or to focus on just living life and doing what I want to do with my time. But she's able to help manage the facility. So if something weren't to work, maybe something failed in the automation. Maybe the gate stopped working and we need to get the operator out there to come and fix the actual machine itself. My manager can call up or she will get calls and she can answer it. She works Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. And in general, we really don't get calls on the weekends, even though that is the best time when people are probably going up to the facility, but we haven't got calls. And those are things that we can address at the time. We can maybe push her onto a weekend, or we can hire a call center. That's something else to think about. But for the most part, she's able to take care of all the calls that are coming in during her shifts so that she can help myself stay hands off. She can take care of the day to day, and I'm empowering her to make something happen. She's been an integral piece in the scalability and growth of my company and even myself, because I don't necessarily have to focus on day to day tasks. When I now remove myself from the situation, I can focus on the bigger picture. So all four of these things play together. If you do not automate your gate, if you do not automate your facility by having a lock like DaVinci Lock, or a system in place that can talk to your PMS, your property management software, like I said, we use the Hummingbird platform. Those three things alone allow us to really be able to stay hands off. Then when you implement having a VA, a property manager for yourself, they can take care of the day-to-day things. So as calls come in or things happen, they can handle it. And I'd be remiss to tell you that all of this looks good and sounds good and it just works perfectly without any hiccups. I'd be wrong. There are hiccups. Things are going to happen, or there's going to be some type of learning curve that you have to go through in order for it to be seemingly easy. For starters, training my property manager. She needs to be able to know what it is that I'm looking for, what I want to do. So I have to know the systems and understand exactly how I want it run so that then I can give her my intent and she can make it happen. That was a process. Putting it out there, running through all the different systems, planning it out and saying, hey, when this happens, we want this. Building out the SOPs, explaining to her the automation for DaVinci Lock, for Spider Door, and even for the Hummingbird platform. She was on all those meetings, and there was a lot of training that went into that. But when you go through that training, it helps tighten your learning curve. Tech hiccups can really be a nightmare. Granted, I haven't had any just yet, but it is a real thing. What if there was a power outage and now my gate operator doesn't work, or things are not working as they should? What if my system stopped talking to each other? Now we have to be able to address those things, and this is why you have SOPs, standard operating procedures, that allow you to go in and troubleshoot. When this thing happens, this is how you solve it, or this is how we can at least troubleshoot it and maybe move on to the next solution that we have until the problem is solved. Implement this into your workflow, and that automation becomes easier. You don't have to necessarily be there all the time. And even when you go through these things, the learning curves or the tech hiccups, the beauty is on the other side is peace. Because in reality, now that I have these things set up, I'm not checking locks every day. I'm checking dashboards. I'm spending a lot less time on operating that facility and more time on operating and learning about myself, or learning in general. Spending more time with my family, doing things that are just as important to me. The real wealth is in automation and systems, things that can work when you're not working, things that continue to run your business while you're sleeping, while you're off enjoying your life, or even working on the next deal. But remember this, that automation isn't just the goal itself. That can't be your final destination. Automation is the tool that gives you the freedom. You're in the game right now because you want to build wealth, but you can't just build the wealth without having an automation, having something that works without you being physically present. And then on the back end, you'll get your freedom back. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, let me know down in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.